if you make them slightly sexier, Tom Bombadil and Goldberry are absolutely swingers.
Welcome to Book 2, Chapter 10, The Breaking of the... What a way to kick off this episode. We are here for the final chapter of the Fellowship of the Ring. Coincidentally, this is also the final chapter of Season 1. I know we're all quite excited to be here, quite excited to have finished the first part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I know I am so freaking ready to talk about this book. I have a pretty short, concise. I've gotten a lot better at making notes. They're less just like dumb call outs and more like actual questions I have.
Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity.
There you go.
I didn't really know how to podcast the first couple episodes. I still don't, but I just feel like talking less is better. So I have less things for me, which is good.
I approach it from the other direction.
Yes,
You sure do.
I know.
So I want to ask you, how does it feel to have finished the book?
I feel really good. I feel kind of annoyed a little bit.
Why?
Because I love the movie, but I feel like I don't know the movie. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that happen in this. So I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see that in the movie. And then I go, was this in the movie?
Yeah.
And I just didn't know. And maybe I didn't pay attention to someone's name or what they were doing. And so I'm really excited to rewatch it and look for like Easter eggs or like the little details of things that Peter Jackson could not like make a big thing of, but was also like, hey, I know about this and it's in there, but we're not going to call attention to it.
And Lord, what did you think?
I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. I thought the writing was just going to be like dense and hard to read, and it super wasn't. It was really approachable, and I don't remember much from the films. Obviously, like the big standout moments that were made into memes, of course, you know, those. I remember those. So those were some spoilers, but honestly, I can't wait to compare it to the movie.
Yeah, you know that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio from the Hollywood movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's like, and he like points at something he gets, and he like points at the TV when he like sees something. I feel like that's gonna be me the whole time I watch the movies.
Hey, I get that reference.
Yeah, I get that reference. Oh, that's a guy. That's Ted's handyman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's gonna be me the whole friggin' time, and I can't wait.
That is so exciting.
Yeah. So like we said, this is the finale of season 1, unfortunately. So after this, we're going to take a little bit of a break. So in order to celebrate, we have had a bottle of Campo Viejo Rioja up on our shelf, a prop on our set for this whole season 1. And we put it up there because it's yellow. And we kind of tried to find things in the world that were part of our lives that had color in them that related to the books. So yellow is a big theme. It's in our logo. It's in, you know, a bunch of stuff. It's a color of our golden elvish whatever it's called, tablecloth for a table that Laura and I built. And so we're going to drink this wine and celebrate, and in season 2, replace it with something else. And then when we finish the Two Towers, we'll celebrate and maybe enjoy that. And same thing with the Return of the King, I think.
Like scotch.
Yeah.
By the end,
that
we're
would
going to
be
need
a
some
crazy.
scotch.
The finale of this podcast
Would just be 4 of us dead on camera.
Yeah, we'll just die on camera. That's the ultimate way to end a podcast.
We're accepting some patronage of any Scottish Scotch factories.
Any Scottish Scotch. If you have any Scottish Scotch, we'll take it. So with that, this is a cheers to us, a cheers to Tolkien, a cheers to the Fellowship of the Ring, a cheers to our fellowship together in this podcast, and most importantly, a cheers to you.
So last chapter, the Fellowship journeyed by boat down the Anduin River and passed through the barren lands. On their 8th night of travel, they came across the rapids sooner than expected and were immediately attacked by orcs. While they hastened to the western shore, the Fellowship was engulfed by the shadow of a large winged beast, which Legolas brought down with one arrow, and the attack ceased. The next day, they re-entered their boats and continued to the falls of Rauros. When they reached the lake before the falls, the Fellowship made camp, where they must decide whether they continue to Mount Doom or go to Minas Tirith.
And guys, this is it. This is the end of the Fellowship of the Ring. This is the breaking of the Fellowship. And it's them making a choice about what the last stage of the quest is going to look like. Are they going to meet this problem as head on as they can, break east, cross the river, enter enemy territory, and hope for the best? Or do they go to Minas Tirith and help Gondor fight its wars and hope to turn the tide that way? It's bad choices all around.
Yeah.
It's bad choices all around. This is where they have to make the choice. They find a spot for a camp. Aragorn says, this is it. We're going to sleep on it. Then tomorrow is the day. So they all bed down for the night, and Frodo is on watch. And it's dark. It's middle night. Aragorn sits up. He does not feel good. He's got this itchy feeling like maybe they're very close to enemy territory and something bad could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And then Frodo and he have a quick conversation that ends with them pulling out Sting and inspecting the blade. It's a magic blade. It's going to turn blue when there's orcs about. And lo and behold, it's blue. But they look at it and they decide that it's not blue enough for immediate danger. It might just be like a storm warning. Like there's orcs in the area. There's a 60% chance of orcs.
Okay.
But only after 2 p.m.
From 2 to 4, you'll see there's a orc.
100%. That's a call they make. Like they have any fucking idea what they're talking about.
Orcs.
They're like, I don't know. That's
Northern
a little more.
orcs.
Yeah.
Is this blue or is this more azure?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's that mean? What's the pound per orc to the blue? They don't know. They're guessing. They make their best guess. And then it is dawn, the final day. And the dawn comes like fire and smoke. Because out of the east is this perpetual black pall of smoke and cloud. The shadow is not a metaphor in this instance. The shadow is an actual fact of Mordor. So the rising sun is red, like seen through smoke. And then it reflects on these black, dead clouds. But then it rises above in a clear sky, and they have an actual dawn. I feel like there's maybe a metaphor in there, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
So Aragorn kindly lets everyone have breakfast, and then he sits everybody down and he says, it's decision time. It's you, bud. What do you got? And Frodo's terrified. He's absolutely fucking terrified. And so he begs for 1 hour to be by himself and consider all the facts. And Aragorn says, all right, everybody, we're going to chill. We're not going to bother him. We're going to let him go off. And then Frodo wanders off into the woods and he runs the fuck home. No, he can't. Thank you for that very polite laugh.
No, it was funny.
I did think that would be funnier. Truly, I did. He goes up into the woods on this island and he sits with his thoughts. And then his spidey senses start going off and he starts getting that itchy feeling like danger is around. And then he turns around and there's Boromir.
Oh,
Aha.
weird.
Hi, buddy. I heard you were making a decision about where to take the ring. I have some thoughts. Would you like to read my script? And remember, Frodo is well aware that Boromir has been like eyeballing him funny and just generally being weird about Frodo, being weird about the ring. It's not a paranoid thought to think that Boromir might have a reason to follow Frodo off into the woods alone.
Yeah.
And Frodo is well aware of this. And he says, Boromir, what is this? What's on your mind? Boromir stresses that Frodo has a momentous decision to make and that yes, you could go east and yes, you could take it directly into Mordor, but Minas Tirith is safe. It is a place of strength and friends and a place where they are fighting the good fight. Come for a rest. Bring that weapon with you. We will do good things. Great things can happen if only we have mastery of the weapons available to us. This could turn the tide of the war. No one could stand against the ring. And if it's too big a burden, I could take it for you. He doesn't say from you, he says for you. And then he kind of enters this like fantasy realm where he's describing the armies he'll raise and the wars he'll wage and the glories Boromir will bring for Gondor.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they're gonna bow to my banner. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's getting real
He will conquer.
out there.
I love that it said he was strutting around and like walking like a king.
Yeah, he's in
He
total.
turned into High School Drama Club, and he just was doing an audition.
He's living that dream.
Yeah.
Because Boromir's had a long, wild ass journey, and this is the moment. This is where he saves everyone. And all he has to do is convince Frodo to do something he wants to do, which is not go to Mordor. But Frodo knows it is his journey, his burden. No matter where he goes, the ring must end in Mordor. So no, he will not go to Minas Tirith. No, Elrond even told them, and Frodo reminds him of this, strength of arms cannot win. And that was said with full knowledge that we possess the ring because we cannot use the ring. No one can use the ring because if you use the ring, it consumes you. And Boromir basically throws in his face that like, well, yeah, maybe if you are some inscrutable wizard or unknowable half-elf, endless, ageless thing, we are men. We have strength. We have honor. We live in this world today, and we want a better tomorrow. This is how we get there.
And he straight up said men cannot be corrupted.
Right. Because here's the thing.
Says the man actively being corrupted.
Yeah.
he does
He
not
also was making like very believable points.
And that's
Some
the
of
thing.
them were.
Because
That's a good gaslighter.
well, he was making good points though, right? Because if you think about it, in the council, they gloss over the idea that a human being could even wield the ring. So technically, to his point, yeah, they rule out everyone else. It's just assumed men are wrong. Everyone's right. Boromir is wrong. Boromir's wrong. But he wants it to be true so badly because in his heart, Boromir doesn't have hope for this quest. He has less hope than anyone else. But the difference between Boromir and Elrond, Boromir and Galadriel, Boromir and Gandalf is Boromir's people cannot get on a fucking boat and run away.
True.
Boromir must fight. He must fight.
Yeah.
That is the only option for them.
Yeah.
And he wants every tool and every weapon, and he thinks they can win if they can just use the ring. This is a very believable arc from Boromir's point of view.
Yeah.
Now all he has to do is convince Frodo to do the easy thing and come with him. But Frodo is he's explicitly against the easy thing because he knows this is just a bad burden. It's a bad rap. It's going to suck no matter how it goes. There's no good way to do it. There's no hopeful way to do it. If you start taking easy ways out, then you stop going towards Mordor. You stop making progress.
It's putting off the inevitable.
Right. And he says as much. And then Boromir reminds Frodo that he's much bigger than him and he could take the ring if he wanted. He's going to take the ring now. And he jumps at him. Frodo flips out, pops the ring on, and is gone. Boromir stops because he's never seen this magic trick before. He was not at the prancing pony. And Frodo books it and he runs and Boromir curses him and he's yelling, he's screaming and he trips and he falls and he just lays there, catches his breath and he realizes what he's done. And he starts yelling for forgiveness and I don't know what happened. I don't know what came over me. Please, God, forgive me. Frodo, come back. Where are you? Please. Frodo doesn't even hear him. He's gone.
And he cries.
And he cries.
He looks up with tears streaming down his face.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I watched him run, trip, fall, stay still for a second.
Boromir.
And then
Frodo?
Boromir.
Yeah.
No, Frodo's
Yeah,
invisible.
Boromir.
He's gone.
I was like, my heart was like hurting in this moment when he looks up and he's like crying.
Yeah.
So I want to believe that the madness wore off and he just came out of his trance and he was like, oh my God, I fucked up. But I also am like, when someone, if Frodo was a woman, classic move for someone to be that way, to then be like the victim, I don't know what happened. I was just being crazy. They ran away because I was scary. It's like, oh, now you're the victim? I actually got very heated. I mean, I can't wait to just dive into this.
We're going to have a big discussion about this.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
I was like, how dare you cry?
I felt the same way.
But so Boromir has this moment though, and he does cry because regardless of how he got there and what his thoughts are now and what his desires are at this moment, no matter how you frame victory for Boromir in walking into this scenario, he's fucked all the way up. Everything is worse now. Because now Frodo is running and he's scared and he's invisible, I guess. Frodo runs and runs and he's just out of his mind with terror. The emotional strain on Frodo must be enormous, and it must be this building sense of doom, because Frodo clearly knows exactly what this whole fucking thing is about. Yeah. He knows that this ends with him on a one-way trip to a volcano somewhere with no hope of even getting that far, but he must do it anyway. And now the only people in the whole ass fucking world who are supposed to be helping him are now trying to drag this thing away from him. They're going to murder his ass in the woods.
They're turning on him.
They're turning on him. The ring is corrupting the people around him already. They're not even in Mordor yet. They have not even decided to go into Mordor yet.
Much like how the ring, the roundabout, corrupted Pat.
Well, you know what, Chris? I went right, which in this context would be minus Tirith.
Well, there you go. You make the wrong decision.
Yeah, about that. Okay, we can discuss that one too. But so Frodo's running at this point, right? He's fleeing, and then he finds himself coming up to the top of the island, to the top of the hill, the top of Amon Hen, and he finds this set of pillars with a throne on top and some stairs to get up into it. All right, why not? He climbs the stairs.
Why shouldn't I?
Exactly. And so he goes up and he sits in this chair. He occupies this space at the summit of Amon Hen, the Hill of Seeing, the hill of the eye of the men of Numenor. It's like a magical place. Like from this point, he can see great distances. They say like seeing things on a table. He's all of a sudden he's got Google Maps and he's got the satellite view and he's got street view and he's looking around. He looks north and he sees the misty mountains like broken teeth. He looks west and he sees the plains of Rohan and like the black spear that is the Tower of Orthanc, which is Isengard, which is where Saruman is. He looks south and he sees the shining sea that he's never seen with his own eyes, but he sees gulls and birds and boats and the whole fucking deal. Yeah. And then he looks east and he sees terror and darkness.
It's just Pippin.
And he sees these things. But everywhere Frodo looks is war. Mm. The Misty Mountains are crawling with orcs like ants out of an anthill. Mirkwood is chaos of elves and beasts and men, and there's fighting and all kinds of... Legolas made the right choice to leave home when he did. Moria has a cloud over it. We knew that already, but it's a terror. Lorien has smoke at the borders.
I hate that.
Yeah, it was so sad to read.
Yeah, it's all coming to pass. All of their worst fears are coming to pass. In Rohan, horsemen are moving here and there. They're doing everything they can. Isengard, there are wolves pouring out of Isengard. Mm. And then east is Harad. East is the Far East, the far countries. There's corsairs, there's pirates on the sea. There's endless lines of soldiers marching from the far, far distant east, servants and allies of Sauron. An endless supply of warriors to destroy Gondor. It is all the power of Sauron in motion at this moment. These are all of the things that Elrond says they cannot fight. It's all of the things that are currently strangling hope in every corner of the world. But then he sees Minas Tirith, this seven-walled mountain city, strong, powerful, covered in flags and steel, and Frodo feels hope. Like there is somebody fighting. There's somebody capable of taking this fight. Maybe Boromir was right. But then he feels his eye drawn unwillingly east, and then he sees a second tower, stronger, more powerful than Minas Tirith, past the ruins of Osgiliath, over the river Anduin, to the horror that is Minas Morgul, to Gorgoroth, the Valley of Terror, the very gates of Mordor, to Mount Doom and the reeking horror and fire and smoke and physical evil that is Mordor. And then to Barad-dûr.
Yeah.
Wall upon wall, tower upon tower, a mountain of iron, a mountain of a fortress, a heart of strength and evil, and all hope goes out of Frodo. All hope leaves him. There is no contesting this power in Mordor.
Is it Frodo supposed to go to like a volcano?
Yes,
Not the tower.
not the tower. The tower is very close.
Okay.
The
Is the volcano, the Cracks of Doom, Mount Doom, is that like in Gorgoroth? Or is
It's-
that just where Sauron lives and the Mount Doom is a different place? Because I was getting them mixed up for a quick second when I was reading this, and I was like, oh my God, he's got to go there. And then I was like, oh wait, he doesn't have to go there.
I don't know what most of the words mean, to
He's,
be honest.
he's going to Mount Doom. That's a different place. than
Yeah, I
what
know
we're
Mount Doom.
saying. Would you say Mordor was a county or a town?
Mordor is a large country.
Country. Got it.
Large country.
There's a lot of names. So like what
France.
is, how do we break down the geography of this?
Mordor is a country ringed by mountains, hundreds of miles across.
Okay.
The country is. Mountains of shadow and ash and terror. And Tolkien took a shortcut with geography because some of the mountains run due north-south and some of them run due east-west, and they make this really neat corner box, right? And it exists in the southeast of Middle-earth.
How convenient.
Really super convenient. It's amazing. And in that corner, in the northwest of Mordor, there's a gap in the mountains. Gorgoroth. That is the Valley of Terror.
So Gorgoroth is a valley?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where the gates are.
the black
That would like
gates
let
of
you
Mordor.
get into the country of Mordor.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in the whole northwest corner of Mordor, so pretty near the gates, is Mount Doom,
Okay.
is the volcano, is the place where the ring was made and the place where the ring must be destroyed.
Yeah.
And not very far south of that at all is Barad-dûr. So that's the geography of
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That was helpful.
Yes. Also, and I think this is mandatory, I would advise everybody to check a map. It's pretty cool.
Well, when in his fake book, the map gets cut off. He
Oh,
doesn't even have the full map.
Yeah, his book doesn't even have a map.
oh, buddy.
Mine is the map of center Earth.
Centerland. So, you know what else is in Barad-dûr, though?
What?
The Eye of Sauron.
Oh,
It is this. Frodo becomes aware of this oppressive presence, and it's searching for him. And Frodo's got the ring on. Frodo's in the fucking zone. He is there. The terror becomes unreal because this eye looks around, and then it finds Frodo. And Frodo throws on his hood, and he tries to pretend his best that he's not there, and he's shitting his pants terrified. And there's these two voices inside him. They're like, bring me the ring. Bring me the ring. Bring me the ring. And then the other voice going, take it the fuck off, idiot. just take it off. Just you have this other option. There's two options. Take this option. And in this like one moment of lucidity, Frodo pulls the ring off. And then the presence is done, and he takes a breath, and he realizes that all of those horrible things he saw, all that hopelessness, that bleak land, that sure death, that's what all these people signed up to do with him, and Frodo will not do that. He will not. He will not bring Merry and Pippin and Sam to their death in some horrible corner of the world. He will not allow the other people to accompany him on this nightmare of a journey, because why should they also die for this? Not even Frodo has real hope. He just has a sense of duty. And then well, you know what? Fuck it. I guess I better hop on a boat and just fucking go then.
Yeah.
Hard cut back to camp where everyone is discussing what they would do and will they go and what will Frodo say when he gets back, because remember, Frodo was given 1 hour to make this decision on his own and to come back with what he wanted to do. And Merry and Pippin are like, fuck this, Minas Tirith, we ain't going to We're not going to Mordor. We can't let Frodo go to Mordor. That's nuts. Elrond was right. The more they learned, the less they like it. Gimli and Legolas, minus Tirith. But I guess if Frodo wants to go directly to Mordor, we may go with him.
Yeah.
Aragorn doesn't see a reason to bring everybody to Mordor, but they must go to Mordor. It's not what he wants, but it's the way to go, especially if Frodo wants to go that way. And Aragorn even says, he looks around and he goes, you know what? If it was up to me, it'd be me, Frodo, and Gimli. Everyone else go to Minas Tirith.
Dream team.
Dream team, baby. Everybody's like, yeah, it's a pretty bad situation. Boromir, what do you think? Where the fuck is Boromir? And then Boromir comes trucking out of the woods.
Actually, Sam's talks shit and going to Gondor.
He does.
He says, begging no pardon. Oh, wait, he's not even here.
Yeah.
It's a crazy moment.
Yeah. But everybody realizes suddenly that Frodo's been gone way more than an hour. And where the fuck is Boromir?
Yeah.
And then Boromir kind of like comes out of the woods looking like...
Which that was suspicious to me. I'm like, he was too afraid to go in and admit what he did.
Yeah.
And then until he gets called out, then he immediately appears out of the woods. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, was he behind a tree like
Waiting? Just being like, how do I go? Aragorn's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I go back there.
Yeah, because that's exactly what happens. They're like, oh, Boromir, where the fuck have you been?
He was like, had to pee for a long time.
But as soon as he is directly questioned, he says, it's bad. It's real bad. Frodo's run off. He's scared. I don't want to talk about it, but it's bad. And Aragorn is immediately like, Boromir, where is Frodo? I don't know where Frodo is. Boromir, and he didn't say this, but he thought it real loud. Boromir, did you kill Frodo? Is Frodo under a bush somewhere? But immediately everyone else panics and is like, what do you mean he's gone? We got to go find him. And so Aaron's like, all right, guys, we're going to make groups and and everyone fucks off. They don't even listen to him. He's got zero control over the situation. They run in every direction. Merry and Pippin first, then Legolas and Gimli. Boromir, please take care of the other hobbits. Make sure they don't die. They're just children. At this point, like, yeah, Merry and Pippin are like being treated like actual children. Sam, Aragorn turns to Sam. Sam, come with me. We're going to Amon. We're going to the top of the hill. We're going to see some shit and figure this out. And Aragorn books it. And Sam takes off with his little hobbit legs. And he does not keep up. And he's huffing and puffing and having a shit time. And he realizes he's not going to catch Aragorn. And he says, well, use your brain. You know Frodo. Frodo was never going to bring other people. Shit, even as far back as the Shire, Frodo meant to go it alone. So what's he going to do now? Oh, fuck me. He's going to go for the boats. He's going to make it alone. Sam, get back to the boats. And Sam runs his chubby ass back to the boats. He gets to the camp just in time to see a boat wiggle its way out into the river and start to turn. And Frodo, I'm coming. Don't leave without me. But I don't know. Maybe he's in the boat. Maybe not. I don't know. But Sam cannot swim. He wings himself into the water and immediately starts to drown. And then you hear from the boat a voice go, fuck. All right, I'm coming back. Chill. And Frodo, who is invisible and is indeed in this boat, grabs Sam, pulls his head out of the water, has him cling to the side of the boat, and says, well, if I can't leave without you, let's get our shit together and get all the way the fuck out of here. We're going to Mordor. And we're not bringing anyone with us. We're not letting anybody else join us. This is our problem. And we will solve it. Or not. But it will just be us. And Sam goes and grabs all his bags and some extra food. They throw it in the boat. And they get in the boat together. And they paddle it out into the river. And they paddle as hard as they can. And they make it to the far shore. And the final stage of the quest has begun. And that is how the book ends.
Book 1 of 3.
But truly, the Fellowship of the Ring ends that way on a harrowing, lonely note.
It's amazing, right? The Fellowship of the Ring ends with the breaking of the Fellowship. I thought that was always a really cool...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're fucked. Everybody fucked.
Yeah, it's like, it's the title of the book is like, there's all of us going after this. Like,
We
to take
are
care
a
of this
fellowship.
ring. And it
We are
ends with
friends.
none of them.
Yes.
just
But
like the
what a
back,
perfect way
back
to end it.
Sam and Frodo.
Dude, it's really funny to think that without help, the ring would be under a barrow somewhere.
But after about almost 20 years,
Or in a
Frodo is
tree.
finally setting out with the ring.
Yeah.
He inherited it almost 20 years ago. And he's finally now going. And it really hit me when I read it the first time that it took that long for him to go to Mordor.
Yeah, he was slow. Slow and lazy on that one.
Like even this chapter, he's like, I need an hour. I was like, of course you fucking do.
Yeah.
It is a very heavy question. I'm not belittling what he went through. But
I mean,
classic Frodo.
Yeah.
Also, he's from Aragorn's point of view, he already gave them breakfast to make their decision.
Right.
Like he was like, we're gonna do this now. No, please, I don't want.
Nobody thought about it over breakfast. They were thinking about
eating.
how good the eggs were.
They're like, nice job, Sam. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, this is a pretty hefty chapter. I got a lot of things I want to talk about. Let's dive right into it. In the beginning, Frodo looks at Sting. Sting once again saves their butts.
Yeah.
Dude, this might be... I don't know how Tolkien came up with this idea. It is a genius idea.
It's like its own character.
To have your weapon glow the closer danger comes with like a color. I'm not a big reader. Maybe this is like taken from another book or something, but like this is such a unique trait for a sword. I'm a big sword guy. I own swords. Funny story with that sword, I'll tell you sometime later if you're on the Patreon.
It's a good story.
It's crazy. But I just thought that that's such a fun, unique characteristic of the sword. And I really thought that like it gives Frodo a sort of
An advantage.
well, not only an advantage, but it's like an invincible partner. You know? Like everyone thinks their sword has their back. But the reality is it's just how good are you at wielding your sword. He actually has a sword that has his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
What it does not do is tell him when Gollum is around. And the reason I say that is because one of the things that didn't really come up this chapter is Gollum.
Yeah.
They hand wave him away in like the first paragraph. And Aragorn's like, nah, I don't think he's here. And if he followed us, he's being real sneaky and staying low. And that's it. No more Gollum. They don't bother with him for this chapter.
He's kind of like, we got bigger problems.
Right. Yeah.
True.
Like the sword
once
is
that
blue.
sword
Yeah,
started
sword's
glowing.
blue. We'll deal with him later. He's not a big deal.
What I really liked was that Aragorn knew there was something wrong before he even saw the sword. Like, I guess from just being a magical ranger, he's got this innate sense of danger. It's pretty cool.
As a ranger in Numenorian descent, he also has a relationship with nature and animals. And he's a tracker. He can look at tracks. And so imagine orcs going through an area, the effects of that on the grass, on the wind, on the trees. I feel like he's just attuned to that. He sensed it on the wind. You know what I mean? And there's even this line that's like the day came like fire and smoke.
Yeah.
It just
I
sets the
loved
tone for
that
that.
line.
It was so descriptive. It's just a simple way. And it's really like he picks up on that immediately.
Yeah.
Because that's like his special thing,
So does an orc count as an animal then?
I'm not saying that, no.
What exactly about the orc is it that's
No, I'm
causing
saying-
any character? Is it the smell of them? Is it the
I was
blood?
saying probably the way they stomp on the ground and like the tracks and the
a
sense.
vibration in the earth? Like
Are you
what is
saying what makes Sting
what is
glow?
Sting detecting? In the,
Oh,
in,
I thought you were talking about Aragorn. I'm like, I was not saying
Yeah,
that he
how does
hasn't-
Aragorn detect orcs?
I wasn't saying
He
that.
looks
I was
at 'em,
saying
idiot.
the effects of orcs.
Well, they reflect light, and he perceives that as color.
No. I was saying the effect they have on nature. He picked
Right,
up on
right.
what it was doing to
Yeah.
nature. I was
Okay.
not calling
Yeah.
them an animal.
No. Well, to be fair, they are animals.
I mean, yeah.
Orcs are not canonically animals.
Correct.
We have wargs for that.
True.
that came up in another thing I was just reading about.
What?
I don't know what it was. It was like a Reddit fantasy thing, and it was like, oh, a warg would took, and we were talking about like universal lore,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, oh, that's so funny.
Tolkien's
Works from like medieval times. It's like from King Arthur.
Yeah.
It makes sense that it would be from the medieval times because that's what my point was when I read warg, I already knew what it was.
I didn't.
Well, like the second time he's saying.
Well, we're talking about the smart people over here.
Fuck off.
It's all right. It's all right.
Smart, or just like we've read more books.
We're well read. We're just well read.
Yeah.
We're well read. And we make good choices.
Apparently I'm less
We do.
well read than
We
Chris.
have excellent taste in literature.
Yes.
Even my fairy smut.
I was gonna say your stuff's a little spicier than Lord of the Rings, but
I
we're
read
there.
this. I
We're
read
there.
this
But I
Steve
go
Jobs
all
biopic.
over
so,
the
you
gamut.
know.
I read
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
Okay.
So the point I wanted to make about that though is what's interesting about Tolkien is that he was a professor of like Middle English, so language and history, and that kind of explains where we are with this old book he wrote to justify a language he made up. But what he does is he consciously took elements, and yeah, you guys are probably going to rip me up for that, but consciously, at least at some level, what he did was he wove all of these common cultural lore things, these fantastical creatures, trolls, orcs, magic evil wolves, rings as a concept, elves. He did an amazing job with making elves his own in the way he did. But the point is that he took a lot of common cultural items and he wove them together in not necessarily a new way, but in a way that had not been done in his time. And that's a huge thing about the Lord of the Rings, is that when Tolkien was writing these things, this was not a common theme to write on.
Fantasy?
Like high fantasy as we think about it. Arthurian legend is about as close as you would get to that.
Yeah.
Or folklore. Like that's it. It's those two kinds of things.
Grimm's fairy tales.
Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah.
I think the absolute closest you get is the story of Grendel. Because you get kind of this like, what? You don't know Grendel?
Do I know this?
It's
I didn't get this channel growing up.
a bunch of warriors in the north that get together to go destroy this evil thing.
I didn't ask about it. No, I'm just
All right, but the point. Do you want to describe Grendel in 30 words or less?
It sounds
It's a
familiar.
fantasy thing.
Basically,
Got it.
these burly men get together and they go to destroy this evil thing.
Okay, it's like a monster.
No, what's it actually called? It's something. It begins with a B.
Beowulf.
Beowulf. That's it. Yes, that's
Okay,
it. That's
I would have
I know
understood
Beowulf.
Beowulf, but
I knew Grendel's the monster's name.
You
Okay.
said Grendel,
So
like
let me go
I
back.
know
Let me go
the
all the way
story.
back.
You actually
Yeah.
told me like how to say it in like less than 10 words about. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Grendel, Gandalf. I
Beowulf.
mean,
Okay, so I'll
Grundle.
go back.
Beowulf.
Beowulf, Bombadil.
Yep. Bombadamdillo. It's this heroic story that involves
old,
monsters and
right?
trolls.
Right.
Yeah.
Very,
Really
very
old.
1,000 years old.
Yeah.
So Tolkien's resurrecting this entire genre of storytelling and making it contemporary and presenting it to a new audience. And that's part of the magic of what Tolkien did.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And made it his own too. So unique.
Yeah.
And the best fantasy writers, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So when Frodo goes off on his own, did anybody else have the song? It always feels like somebody's watching me. That was,
no privacy.
that was going
love
through
that
my
song.
brain, and it was like Frodo felt like somebody was watching him, and it just popped in my head. It always feels
Sam
like-
Rockwell.
Yeah.
I have to say, not this time I read it, but the first time I read it, and Frodo's by himself and he feels something watching him, I thought, oh, it's Gollum.
Yeah. Gonna
Like I was like, oh my God.
This is
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
the second, I was like curious.
I actually was not sure where it was going.
It
with
was your,
this.
I was going to say, it was both your first times.
Yeah.
Did you think that or what were you feeling?
I'm not sure. I don't remember what I thought it was. I probably knew it was Boromir just from
The film.
the film and everything because I knew something was about to happen with him.
Yeah.
So I think I just knew that was happening.
Well, there was this funny thing that happened where when Frodo leaves to take his hour to think, Sam catches Boromir staring Frodo down as Frodo leaves to spend his like 1 hour thinking. And then it cuts to Frodo and he says, I feel like somebody's watching me, basically.
Oh, that's funny.
It's
And
really good writing. Yeah.
I thought in the moment, this is a great way to punk me if I was Tolkien, because I'm going to assume it's Boromir.
Oh, yeah.
And the logical thing that Tolkien would do is switch up who actually shows up.
Because he's been doing that.
Yeah, he does that a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe this is Gollum. Like, I actually had a very similar thought. But then big old dumb face shows up, and I was like, oh, it's Boromir.
because he knew that you knew that he knew.
Yeah.
I thought it was really curious that throughout Boromir and Frodo's conversation and encounter, they repeatedly described the feeling as being unfriendly and that Boromir was kind of dangerous. And yet the whole time his face was smiling and kind, not unhinged like Chris is doing right now, but like his face looked perfectly innocent and happy and friendly. But Frodo was getting this like horrifying vibe off of him.
And what does that remind you of, though? The first man that he really interacted with was Strider, who came off as a threat, but was speaking gently and kindly and saying very nice things to him. And it's really interesting that Boromir chose...
And right, and at that time, back at the Prancing Pony, what did Frodo say to Aragorn? He said, I would expect a servant of the enemy to look fairer and feel fouler.
Yeah.
He was right.
And that's exactly how Boromir was coming on.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was right.
And the opposite of how Strider presented himself.
And speaking of Strider,
So good.
Yeah.
like every chance Boromir had in that whole moment of madness, as they say, with Frodo, he keeps just putting Aragorn down.
Yes, he does.
He keeps saying like, "I am a man, not a thief
Oh,
or
yeah.
a tracker."
I am
my
a
God.
true man, neither
Yeah.
thief nor tracker.
So like it's funny because that could be a reference to like a thief or to a poacher
Correct.
or a thief or a man who has a sword and claims he's my new
Or
king.
a ranger. Yeah.
And he even says, why not? He says about himself, why not Boromir?
Boromir can speak in the third person too.
Yeah. Yes.
Boromir is
I
a
love that you
candidate for
brought that
king.
up. That was one of my things. I was like, oh God, another man speaking in the third person.
Right.
It's like he
Men.
hates the person he wants to be so bad. Like he wants to be
Yeah.
the missing king of men.
So
So bad.
I have a very serious question to
No,
ask
third
all
person
three
only.
of you.
Oh God.
Chris has a very serious question to ask all of you.
Okay.
He went on the whole tirade and was prancing around. Do you think the fact that he even went there was what made it really bad, or the fact that he like for as long as it was?
I have two warring sides to this. Because there's a part of me that thinks this is just who he is deep in his soul, and the ring will reveal your most evil thoughts. And if you are tempted by greed or ego, it will take you into its madness. And then when he falls, it's not the fall that breaks the spell per se, but it's when Frodo runs out of a certain amount of range. He's away from the evil magic.
from the
And
ring.
so then he's not under its power anymore. He snaps back. But then also, I
It
feel
just
like
coincides with the fall.
yeah, I feel like he also though is so easily corrupted that there is a huge part of him that has had a terrible life.
Do you think it's
And I think he has so much pent up rage and depression and grief and everything just warring inside of him that he has turned ugly. Because you either rise above it and become a better, stronger person, or you allow it to make you shallow and ugly and small. And I don't know. I think he's this great big man. And he really needs therapy. And
Like it's really
Yes.
easy for us to like sit here and be like, fucking Boromir. But I want to know what about that interaction was the crossing the line in the sand. Was it that he even went there, or that it lasted as long as it did? So I heard you. What about you, Pat?
It's important to understand that Boromir is fundamentally a man of violence. He's a warrior. Force solves his problems. Force of arms is how he views the salvation of his people. The fact that it went there is not a surprise. The fact that it got to that point that he tried to talk to Frodo, but much like everyone who relies on violence, it always comes to violence because they will always come to a situation where only violence is left to them, and that's the way they seize what they want. Is it bad? No, because the ring brought out in Boromir what there was: violence. It was a natural arc. It was the only logical conclusion.
Yep. What about you?
I have two thoughts on this. The first was when at the very beginning of this conversation, he says, "I wish to help you. You need counsel in your hard choice."
Yeah.
So he starts off on a real bad foot saying, "You need help. You can't make this decision on your own."
But he's
So,
not wrong.
That's
Which
a
I
bad
love,
way
though.
to start.
But he needs counsel. He needs counseling. So
Yes.
of course, he's going to project that onto someone else.
Obviously,
Yeah, he
Boromir
says,
needs
"Will
to go
you
to
not
therapy.
take mine?"
Yeah, so-
But when he really crosses the line is when Frodo says, "I'm afraid, but I'm glad to have heard you speak so fully. My mind is clearer now."
Oh, fuck.
And Boromir's like, "Oh, that's great. You agree with me." And Frodo's like, "You misunderstand me. Now I know where you stand.
Yes.
I know what you're about." That is when Boromir loses his shit
Yeah.
and becomes completely unraveled. So, like, I think that is the point where he crosses the line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ready for the name of this segment?
What you got?
It's called The Devil's Advocate.
Oh no, that never goes well. Chris.
Sauron did nothing wrong. He just wants his property returned.
I agree with a little bit of what everybody said.
Oh, no.
Everybody brought a really interesting point to this. My takeaway from this is that you're all correct. And
Thank
that
you.
this, unfortunately, is Frodo's fault. Frodo should have had the
what?
self-awareness to not insult a very heated, clearly starting to lose his mind guy. Pippin, Merry, and Sam have the wherewithal to notice that Boromir is losing his cool. Frodo doesn't this whole time.
He
Frodo
does.
Yeah, he
Frodo's
did.
not
He
like
knows what's
talking
going
to
on.
everybody like, oh, I think he's going on. He's not really paying attention to him. I don't think he is. I haven't
He
picked that
did in
up.
the boat with Aragorn.
Maybe I didn't pick that up. He's in a different boat.
Right, but he felt Boromir coming up on their ass in the boat.
The narrator said that.
But Frodo looked back.
I'll say this. I'll say
Maybe.
this.
And then Frodo says and insults men,
Yeah.
to
he
Boromir,
does.
which sets Boromir off. And I only say this to say Boromir's hot-headed, clearly. He's fucking going nuts, clearly, regardless of what's going on. I'd like to present an alternative situation here. We have another character who has entered this territory in this book who we don't consider to be an enemy. And his name is Bilbo Baggins. And Bilbo Baggins turned into a slight fucking creepazoid monster and tried to take the ring for about a half a second. And he went there. And then he came back and was like, whew, shit got real for a second. But none of us look at Bilbo Baggins the way that we look at Boromir.
But he stopped.
So
Of course he,
stopped
did.
On his own.
immediately.
Yes.
Boromir
Says
did
Hobbits
not.
have more control than Boromir. So that's why I asked, is it the fact that he went there or is it the fact that it went on as long as it did and it became to violence?
Okay.
And that's why I think that what you said rings the most true with how I
And I have
interpreted
another
that
point,
scene.
but I'll let him go first.
This is a hot take. I understand that. Everybody probably wants to say something. Dive in. But I just want to say, in that moment when Boromir went there and he became insulted and he was already enraged because the rings bringing some sort of darkness out of him. And he was handling it pretty well for like the most part. He was making some decent points. We talked about this earlier.
yeah.
But then once he gets insulted, he sort of goes over the edge. And he dipped into Bilbo Baggins territory where like I could see almost maybe like a monstery skull coming out of his face maybe or
His
something.
fair and pleasant face was hideously changed.
Yeah, like it became like something. And I just was picturing that scene from
So there's a
earlier in
parallel
the,
there.
at Rivendell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So two things very quickly. One, the ring and Bilbo. So if the ring brought out the violence in Boromir, did the ring really just bring out like the weird stuffy old man in Bilbo? Is that
I think
what
it brought
made
out
him?
the greed in Bilbo.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Bilbo's a greedy person. He wants things for
He's a
himself.
little egotistical as
He
well.
likes
100%.
luxurious things. He
Right.
likes the big house. He's a
be the
greedy
best.
guy.
Okay,
you know.
so yeah.
Good guy, but greedy. Yeah.
Other thing, you can't blame Frodo for the way Boromir is corrupted and the way he's behaving and the way he reacts.
Sure. I'm
But
not blaming
I-
Frodo.
no, no.
I think Frodo could have acted differently.
I
there.
think that the smarter play for Frodo would have been to be like, yeah, buddy, let's go talk about this back at camp. Aragorn,
I think
need help.
at this point, it's like you don't like if he's alone and it says that he's like half the size of Boromir and he's standing by himself with him,
Unarmed.
unarmed, and Boromir's
Man,
sword
knife
is
problems all
fucking
day.
6 feet long.
Maybe he
compared
does
to
have
him.
Sting with him, actually.
Like, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, that's
And
like
his chainmail, but
that's
okay.
like having a penknife
but
in
still,
a
he
fight.
has a
You know what
chainmail,
I
he
mean?
has Sting, but yeah, whatever.
But like,
Unarmed.
yeah, basically unarmed, right? But like, I would expect at this point, with Frodo's age and experience on this trip so far, to have behaved differently.
But he was raised by Bilbo.
Well, can I point
That's my
something
fault.
out?
That's all. Yeah, of course.
When he, quote unquote, insults men, that is at the very beginning of this encounter. He can tell that Boromir feels a little unfriendly, but it's like one of the first things he says.
This is like some shit with Legolas insulting like dwarves or
Yeah.
vice versa. That like I feel like we're past. We've been a couple
but
weeks.
Boromir
past
doesn't
this
blow
now.
up till he realizes 100% he's not getting his
It's
way.
like
Yes.
2 pages later that Boromir
Yes.
like loses his shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying doubles down on what I'm saying, which is that I think Frodo should have handled that confrontation completely differently. 2, I think that the ring brought out a horrible darkness in Boromir that was simply, I should be the warrior that saves the Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And his frustration that everything around him chose a different path and did not choose him, with him having no say, despite spending half a year walking to get to a meeting.
He feels
To
he deserves
decide
that.
It was like spending 6 months traveling to a meeting to find out that the new guy replacing you is getting paid. The new person who was hired to work alongside you gets paid more and is your boss.
Yeah. It is a warrior. It's a big man doing big, great things. And suddenly the key to all of his success, all of the hope for everything in the whole world, literally the whole world, is given to a sneaky little fuck who won't fight anything.
Yeah.
Usually, and in the past when I read this, I had a lot more sympathy for him. But this time I really was attuned to how he reacted once the ring went out of range and he kind of broke the spell.
Yeah.
The tears at first made me think, oh my God, this isn't really truly him. It's a really, really small evil part of him that the ring brought out. But then the fact that when Sam, accidentally insults Gondor or Minas Tirith, and then he goes, oh, sorry, I didn't mean, and that's when they realize he's not there, and they bring him up, and then he just magically appears out of the woods. Fishy. He was waiting to see how he can organically come back in. He was terrified of how Aragorn was going to react.
Interesting.
So there's this really great line where it says, is that all you have to say, Aragorn to Boromir? And then it says, Aragorn was looking hard and not too kindly at Boromir. And I was like, yes. Because he knows he's been up to no good.
He's been gone way too long.
He also knows that there's something fishy with how he came back in and how he's reacting. And he's saying all the right things, but he's still not behaving 100%. And Aragorn is not forgiving. He's like, you fucked up and you're still fucking up. And you're just trying to cover yourself. And I just feel like that line this time really resonated with me, that I align with Aragorn. As of now, his intuition has been true. He predicted Gandalf. He predicted every monster that's come onto them. He always knows when an enemy is near, and he is locked in on Boromir. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I used to have empathy for him. I don't anymore.
It
Hot
seems
take,
like
I know. Hot take, but I don't.
Yeah, it seems like just about everybody has caught on to Boromir's weirdness.
Except for Legolas, who's just silent.
Legolas doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I was empathizing with Frodo really hard in this during that whole interaction because, like, I'm thinking, like, there's fight, flight, and freeze is typically your options in a situation where somebody just starts getting scary. And like,
Freeze tag?
I'm a freezer. No, not freeze tag. Regular freeze. Just
That's freeze tag.
That's just Tina.
Tina.
See, I have a
So I'm
fight
a
or
freezer.
fuck.
Flight or fuck?
Yeah.
No.
That's not good.
No, that's really bad.
I either
scared.
run
I'm
away or
turned
I start
on.
having sex.
No. It's either
Whoever's in the room, sorry. Girl, guy, warg.
two wargs, one.
No.
2 wargs, 1 hobbit.
Oh no!
We eat the warg. 2
wargs, one took.
hobbit.
Let's revisit Frodo's reluctance to bring his friends into the heart of Mordor, right?
Yeah.
He talks about how he doesn't want to bring the hobbits in. He talks about how there's no reason to bring the strength of men, and he knows Boromir's not going. And in this whole thing, when he's like justifying to himself running off, he does not even consider Legolas and Gimli. They don't even rate. They're just like, fuck them. I don't know them. I don't know these folks. We're not going to bother with them. And I thought that was amazing for 2 reasons. 1, it was a very clear insight into how Frodo views his companions. And 2, it was an interesting example of how Tolkien has been mentioning Legolas and Gimli in the same context over and over and over and
As
over.
enemies.
But since Lorien, also as friends.
Best
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, turning it slowly, the tides change.
Yeah. So now they're this like power duo.
Yeah. They're a unit.
Yeah, they're a unit. When Aragorn is talking about his dream picks for the Mordor suicide run, it's just him, Frodo, Sam because he must, and Gimli, and I guess Legolas if he can't bear to not go.
Yeah.
And that's that. Like,
So it's the Fellowship minus Boromir and Merry and Pippin.
and Gandalf.
Oh, obviously Gandalf.
Well, because
yeah.
Gandalf was their leader. And speaking of which, real quick, Aragorn is. There's so much to Aragorn. There's so much potential in Aragorn. There's so much prophecy built around Aragorn. He is not a leader. He cannot even keep them from stopping panicking for 30 seconds while he gets out. Hey, we're going to have a search plan to find our invisible friend with the weapon of mass destruction.
He doesn't have the charisma he needs.
They fucking... Nobody in that moment thought, we should wait to see what Aragorn wants to do. Instead, everyone decided they knew better than Aragorn possibly could and scattered. And that is really, really indicative of where Aragorn's character is on this idealized approach to, I'm going to be the king out of prophecy. Buddy, you need to get your kids in order.
Yeah.
He's herding cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
And poorly.
Yeah.
I want to jump real quick into Frodo up on Amon Hen. The way when he's sort of like looking out and he's seeing all this like darkness and all these terrible things happen, the word Gorgoroth comes up. So I thought that the word Gorgoroth was interesting because it starts off with a word that is literally what we describe horrible violence
That's
and
like
blood
gory.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it invokes like a visceral sense of when you say the word, you think of terrible things.
And like Mordor sounds like murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
there's a
think
play on
there's a
words in that
connotation.
section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's intentional
Yeah.
in his naming.
Well, I hope it
Yeah.
wasn't accidental.
So like,
What a coincidence.
That's what I'm saying. I'm picking up on the fucking. It's not accidental.
right. So like, it's a deliberate choice by a linguist. Yeah. They've done studies about the English language where even if you don't know a word, if you know English, you can guess whether something is a noun or not based on the word, just on the noise and the way it sounds when someone says it. You can guess whether it's a proper noun or not.
Yeah.
Or a noun or an adjective or whatever the fuck it is. But there's an awareness in English language about the way a word sounds and feels. And Tolkien does a lot with this stuff. Dwarvish, if you see it written, if you hear it said, it feels like staccato and hard edges.
Yeah.
Elvish flows and...
Was Tolkien a musician?
No, absolutely not.
But
You
he
don't-
was a linguist.
No, he was against sounds altogether.
Wow.
To me,
I would
like
have thought he was a
the whole like
No.
staccato dwarven thing reminds me of German. The flowiness of Elvish reminds me of French. So like I think it just goes back to the different languages that he's been exposed to.
And also, like gore feels like war.
Yeah, like
Like that comes to mind.
more door.
More door, gore.
Golgoroth.
Yeah.
Like these are it's harsh words.
Yeah.
Dum, dum,
Exactly.
Dum, dum,
Well,
dum.
speaking of the visions, so there's this line when he still has the ring on that says, take it off, fool, take it off, take off the ring. I immediately heard Gandalf's voice. Yes. And whether that's Frodo, that's his guide in his mind. It's just
He's
made
the only
up in
one that
his
says
head.
full so far.
But when I heard fool, I immediately think Gandalf. It gave me hope, but also it made me think, also that's really beautiful, if that's his good side conscious. Because like the ring, his like devil on his shoulder is kind of running everything right now. And the thing that pulls him out is the angel on his shoulder or Gandalf's voice.
So in reality, it was
take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off. No, but
take it off.
I also saw the angel and the devil
I
on the
don't know
shoulders.
if anyone else like picked up on fool and immediately thought Gandalf, but I did. And this was
didn't,
the
but
first
that's
time I
great.
really
he's the only
did.
other
That
character that says
absolutely
Because
felt
the
full
so
last
far.
time we saw him, he said, fly, you fools.
Yeah.
And fool of a tuck.
That's
And
perfect.
he always says fool. And so when I saw that, no one else has called anyone a fool, even though they should have, since Gandalf's been gone.
Yeah. So hey guys, bad news, Gandalf dead. Good news,
He lives in Frodo's head.
I am not that clever.
You're not Tom Bombadil.
No, oh please God, no,
That's
never.
his next song.
I don't
banger.
like that guy. Maybe I might be alone here, but I thought it was really convenient and weird that Frodo takes an exposition dump when he is sort of talking to himself and he sort of says what needs to happen
Out loud.
out loud to nobody. That feels unrealistic, and it feels like a convenience thing.
Sam
from
also
Tolkien.
does that, which felt very
Do you guys
unrealistic.
not talk to yourselves?
And not out loud. I don't stand into the wilderness and
don't
go,
tell my
I must go there.
I don't tell myself a plan.
No.
I just do what I need to do, but I don't tell myself a plan out
Not
loud.
in complete sentences, at least.
But like you don't I was gonna say though, like you've never been so stressed that you've been trying to talk yourself up to something like, fuck it. All I gotta do is go across the street. I'm gonna do this thing and then do that. I get in my car, I go home. It's fucking over. This is easy. Let's do it. No. Are you kidding me, man? That's how I get out of bed in the morning.
So I just feel like the exposition dump is right out of like a musical. And it's like a number where like Frodo goes to the edge of stage and it's like basically
solo
it's Les
begins.
Mis, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the end of the epilogue where he's like, Jean Valjean is nothing now. This is that moment where Frodo is like I'm gonna sing
what
this
I must
song.
do.
Here's what I have to do, which works great on stage.
Frodo will go through.
Yeah.
It's like that last dialogue.
To Mordor.
It doesn't rhyme. I didn't see it like a song, but it's definitely like the actor walks center stage and
Yeah.
looks out and is like,
And
did what
reveals
and why
the
and
plan
when.
to everyone.
yeah.
For some reason, what does he say?
I'm not going to sing it.
Sing it.
I will do now what I must. This at least is plain. The evil of the ring is already at work in the company, and the ring must leave them before it does more harm. I will go alone. Some I cannot trust, and those I can trust are too dear to me. Poor Sam. And Merry and Pippin. Strider, too. His heart yearns for Minas Tirith, and he will be needed there. Now Boromir has fallen into evil. I will go alone. At once.
He says all that out loud.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't. That's what we call in the film industry an exposition dump, where you take a shit out loud for everyone to hear what you're going to do, and it's very.
shit out loud.
It's literally like something that we look down on it in society.
Yeah. But like,
Often in film, and this is when you can
the
always tell when
voiceover.
you sort of see this and you go, well, that was convenient.
does this not in this moment reinforce the idea that Frodo is fucking alone?
He's
Yeah.
talking to himself.
He's talking to everyone who's going. And by the way,
Which is just him?
I can, yeah, because I can count. I can count. Elrond chose 9, right?
Yeah.
Who did Frodo talk about? So we're good. Frodo will pass for himself, but he said Merry and Pippin and Sam and Strider,
And Boromir's fallen.
and Boromir's a bad apple.
Who's the two we left out?
Who's the 2 he left out?
Yeah, exactly. I just thought that was interesting.
Also, Sam to himself after he rolls down the hill also does a monologue.
Fuck,
himself. Yeah.
son of a bitch.
As you
Sam does a lot of talking out
He
loud.
goes, "Whoa, Sam Gamgee!" That's his first line to himself. Whoa!
He's a dread pirate Roberts or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
Aw. I love that for him.
As you wish.
Wait, I actually adore Frodo as Buttercup.
Frodo Cup. My name is Princess Frodo
Frutter
Cup.
cup.
2 Frodos. And he really just leaves Gimli and Legolas out. And we don't
Yeah.
get a very good idea of what their position is and what their feelings are.
They do say when it kind of cuts back to the rest of the company sitting around the fire waiting for Frodo to make their decision, they're all kind of talking about, well, what maybe they would prefer to do. And something really stuck out to me here. I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. Gimli says he would prefer to go to Minas Tirith. And he says, we were only sent to help the bearer along the road and really go no further than we wished. And none of us is under any oath or command to seek Mount Doom.
Damn.
Did anybody notice that this is precisely the opposite of what he said in Rivendell?
No, is it?
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Rivendell.
He argued with Elrond.
Yep.
He gets into his rap battle with Elrond.
He does. He says, Elrond is telling them, you don't have to go. You're just here for
the
part of
rap
the
battle.
quest.
Yeah.
And so Gimli says, faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens. And Elrond's like, whatever.
Dark fucking
And
road.
Gimli then goes, yet sworn word may strengthen quaking heart. So like Gimli is so like, if I give you my word, I will follow through.
But then he
And
found
now
a
he's like,
friend.
well, none of us took an oath.
And he was like, this is my first friend. His name's Legolas.
Yeah, he
was my
I would
sworn
love it if we
enemy,
didn't
but-
die.
He now has something to live for. So
Yeah.
his opinions have changed. But no, really though,
but seriously.
Leggy doesn't want to go to Morty.
my
But he also saw
tall
his,
boy not want go.
He also saw the tomb of Balin, and he was like, you know what?
Things have changed.
Things are dire, and I have a friend now. I don't
Dwarves
want to
can
die.
die?
That was Elrond's entire point, was that like you may say things that will change your mind. And Gimli was like, never. And now he's like,
And I also feel like Elrond's
True,
sitting in Rivendell,
true,
like,
true.
ha,
Yeah.
told ya. No.
yeah, right.
He's like,
Elrond's
so.
got his ring in his cup of tea. He's stupid fucks. No, but how does
told you.
But how does it end though? Because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
Well,
bookend.
that's
There's a
true.
bookend.
Yeah. He says, yet I have come so far, and I'll say this. It's clear to me that I cannot leave Frodo. I would choose Minas Tirith, but if he does not, then I will follow him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My note is Gimli is a true heart.
He is, man. Gimli is the fucking best because Gimli is the only one that Aragorn wants to bring.
Yeah.
Pat, I'm actually going to ask you to read this.
I can't read.
Start at 17, and then when you're done 17, read 18.
Oh, God.
Gimli is a true heart and chooses lowercase f Frodo over his own safety. Also, Legolas. Because again, Legolas.
Why? So why did I say that about Legolas?
Because he's a teenage
Because
dandy.
yeah, Legolas, Gimli, they've become friends. They've gotten very close. And in this moment, Gimli takes his heart. He puts it on the mantle for everyone to see. And he draws his own line in the sand. And he goes, I don't want anything to do with this. I want to go there to Minas Tirith and become, a bigger group of people and be powerful. But I will give all that up if Frodo goes that way, and I will go with him. And I was so excited when it was like, and then Legolas stepped up. And I was like, oh, what's he got to say?
Me too.
And yeah, it was just, yeah, same.
Big same, bro. Big same.
Yeah, and like I was like, oh, I don't know. It reminded me of like when like you pour your heart out to somebody, and for the first time you're like, I love you, to someone you're dating, and they say, me too.
Yeah, that's what Laura said. It was correct, but
It's correct, but it don't hit the same. It don't hit the same, and you go, oh, okay.
yeah, fair. I'm gonna.
And then just 1976 Incredible Hulk just starts playing and you walk into the rain.
Yeah, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I thought about that
fine.
scene. So you have Legolas, you have Gimli, you have these people that have become very close friends to Frodo. But the reality is, there's only one person that really knows Frodo. And Aragorn even calls it out, and he says to Samwise, he's like, you clearly know
your master.
You know your master best. And the thing is that Sam is ultimately become Frodo's best friend.
To the point where Sam flings himself into a body of water when he knows he cannot swim.
Oh my God,
To
yes.
be with Frodo.
Yeah.
And Frodo in that moment
Beautiful moment.
has to relive the trauma of his childhood past when his parents drowned and makes the choice to save someone he loves, and he can.
I didn't even think about
It's
that.
so fucking heavy and deep.
Yeah.
And it's just, I read this and I was like, oh my God. Like Frodo for a second halts.
That's why your memory rules, because you remember that and I forgot.
I also just say too, a listener and person who's a fan also talked about this. And I was like, when we were talking about that in the beginning, I thought,
Yeah.
oh my God, this makes the end of the book so much deeper. Because in the very beginning of the book, we find this out. They also said this. And I was
forgot
like, I
about
can't wait
that.
to share this as well. Because it's like such a deep moment. And it means so much more when you remember the very beginning of Frodo's story in the beginning of the book. And he chooses to save someone he loves and actually has the ability to.
Holy shit.
And
That
so
is wildly insightful. That's fucking this is why I love this project. I've been reading these books for 30 years.
Like, it's such a, like, I'm going to tear up and I drop my book.
Yeah, and all I can bring to the table is water, the eternal foe.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Oh, that's so good.
On that,
Goddamn.
I had a note on that subject that, like, right in that moment, I wrote down, I think we can all agree that it's very clear in the writing that when Frodo is up on Amon Hen and the eye sees him and he, like, hides and the voices are in his head and then he takes the ring off and things lighten up and they become clear. After all of that, take it off, fool. That whole fucking scene happens and he walks away. There's a moment where Frodo's walking away with no ring on and says, I'm going to put it back on.
That's how terrified he
And
is.
puts it back on. I couldn't fucking believe the balls on this kid.
Because now he's hiding from his friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he knows he can't be seen by them, or else they'll try to follow him and they'll die.
It's fucked up.
I did not like that. I did not like that. That was very irresponsible.
After Gandalf, Elrond and Galadriel told him, do not put that on. You can't handle it.
Again, this comes back to what I said earlier, Frodo's self-awareness for what the fuck is going on in his life. This chapter, he's like a dumbass. He doesn't know how to talk to Boromir. He doesn't know how to handle the ring. He gets scared. He's like, I'm so scared. And then he's like, I shouldn't put it on. And a voice comes in his head that's like, don't put it on. Take it off. And then he goes, I'm going to put it back on. And he puts it back on just to push a boat away from the group that no one's there. No one's there.
That's a good point. He's hiding
There's
from
no
one.
one there.
But
They all left.
But Sam saw him.
Sam saw a
Sam
Fuck
did
Sam.
see
Who
it.
gives a fuck about Sam?
Real quick
He
before we go.
found him. He was invisible. and
found
Sam
him
looked in
anyway.
the woods and he saw an invisible man pushing a boat. And he went, gotcha.
That's true. That's
Take
true.
the fucking ring off, you dick.
Before you go
I got
into
so mad. I'm sorry. I'm going to come down. This is overreaction. This is overreaction.
No, this is
Just like
appropriate.
Boromir.
I
Weird.
got so fucking mad because this whole entire book, they've treated this ring as a precious thing. You do not fucking disrespect. You do not put it on for no reason.
I have a point about this.
And then he just goes, he has this moment where literally Sauron's like, with the binoculars, like, I see you. And he's like, ah! And he jumps off the thing, throws his hood on, takes it off. Gets
That's what I
out
want
of
to
it.
talk about. He puts on his gray elven cloak made by Galadriel herself.
Yeah.
When the eye is roving, is coming towards him.
Yeah, and it saved him.
Something takes
It
over
saved
him,
his
and
butt,
he remembers
yeah.
her magic and flips it
'Cause
over.
the eye can't find
and the
him.
eye is like, where the fuck he go? Where the fuck he go?
Thank
and then
God.
somehow this voice that calls him a fool comes out. Once the cloak is on, all this light is just radiating out of him. And I was like, this is such fucking great writing because all the exposition before this has led up to not having to describe this moment. But if you're paying attention, you know what happened. The power of Galadriel blocked out Sauron, let him hear his mentor. It's really fucking awesome.
RJ, I love this whole thing because you and I focus on such different shit.
I did not pick up on that either, but that's so obvious now.
I
Yeah.
learn something every single time.
Same from you and
All
you
of
and
you
you.
guys
Like
talk.
all of you guys. Yeah.
I'm learning shit every time we do this.
This is
I
why you should discuss
fucking
your
love it.
favorite books with your friends.
This is why you bring your kind of dumb friend.
No,
To the
you have
book
such
podcast.
insightful
No.
things to say.
No.
Don't say
This
that about
is-
yourself.
This is why book clubs exist.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite part about that whole thing was when Sam was like, well, I have to go with you. And Frodo's like, no, you can't. And Sam was like, I have to. He threatens to knock holes in all of the boats before he will let Frodo go on his own. And Frodo actually laughed, and a sudden warmth and gladness touched his heart. And I feel like that was the first time he has felt anything resembling joy or warmth in quite a long time.
That's a good point.
Isn't that nice?
Well, we talked about this early on where Fran is Sam, not Fran.
Framlish is Sam?
We talked about not Frodo and Sam. That's Fran. We talked about this early on where Sam is showing Frodo love, but
Yeah.
but Frodo does not show love back. Right? That
Or
was
in
like
the same way.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we talked about this a long time ago.
Frodo's love language is weird.
Yeah. So it's
very
really
cold.
interesting because this is a moment where like pure joy, pure thankfulness. There's the classic line from this is, Frodo says, I'm going on this. And Sam says, of course you are. And I'm coming with you. And it's just a perfect like friend thing to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
I am coming with you.
Right.
Whether you like it or not.
How?
I love he says, I cannot escape you, Sam Gamgee.
Yes, because he literally can't.
It's such a beautiful moment of their friendship. And he says, and I'm so glad because of it.
And
Yep.
I thought it
I'm
was really funny.
paraphrasing a little bit, but you know what I
Because
mean.
Yeah.
Sam is like drowning.
He almost dies.
And he's reaching for nothing. Very, very patiently, he says, I can't see you.
Oh, yeah, that
Very
part.
patiently, I can't see you. There's no hands.
I'm drowned.
I'm trying to help me. Because Frodo's like, take my hand. And Sam's like, where? Yeah, he's just like Ray Charles in the water, like,
Oh,
just
no.
fucking grabbing whatever's available. It ain't happening.
right.
And it's a crazy end to the chapter.
Yeah. And they reach the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
They begin the final stage of the quest.
Yeah.
But where the fuck are they going? They're going to a place of evil.
Mount Doom. It's like doom, doom.
Yeah.
Where they're going, there are more doors.
Oh God.
Christopher.
I refuse to engage with that pun, but I respect
thought of that the other day, and I've been saving it.
it. So, Chris, I don't know how many
stick with
volcanoes
murder.
you've been to.
More dirt.
There's murders.
Let's stick with murders.
Really, though, the question is like, where the fuck have they gotten to?
Yeah.
They've gotten to the Eastern Shore. They've gotten to Amon Mule. They've gotten to the Brownlands. They've gotten to enemy territory. This is land that Gondor cannot even pretend to contest anymore.
Yeah.
Remember, the whole world that exists past this frontier has been surrendered to whatever fucking evil Sauron wants. It is unequivocally his domain. It is populated by orcs and monsters and shit we don't know about.
Yeah.
The mountains are mountains of terror. They're mountains of ash and shadow. They're trying to find a volcano in hell. No, really.
You're right.
They're going to hell. If I was going to hell, I would find Richard Nixon. They are going to find a volcano. And their whole point is to get as far as they can. But guys, it's literally just Frodo and Sam. There's nobody else anymore. There's nobody who's seen those maps. There's nobody who understands the full gravity of what they're doing. It's Frodo and Sam. It's only them. They've got what? They've got these elven cloaks.
They have his visions that
they
led
have-
him there.
They have the visions. They have some knives. They have some good food.
Frodo's got a spidey sense a little bit.
A little bit.
to help.
And they have this burden. And truly, at this point, it is them. Frodo has to carry it, but Sam's carrying Frodo. Sam alone does not express a fear of Mordor. He expresses a fear on behalf of what might happen to Frodo. He does not give a shit. I mean, he clearly does, but he's like, that's not his priority. He understands the job. He knows the assignment. They're going to terrible places. They will endure terrible things. Sam's only job is to help Frodo.
Yeah.
And Frodo is now seeing this and he accepts this and he is so fucking overjoyed to have somebody. At the moment where Frodo decides that there's no one that can help him, that there's nothing that can help him, that there's no power that can assist him in this unachievable task. In that moment, Sam Gamgee tries to drown himself to help Frodo.
Right.
He lunges into a river, cannot swim, terrified of water, hates boats worse than horses. Sam Gamgee shows up in this moment, giving everything from that moment forward.
Yeah.
And Frodo hauls him in the boat and is so thankful.
Yeah.
And those two are the only people, the only ones from the Fellowship of the Ring, just straight motherfuckers, powerful folks. The only two people who make it east of the Anduin right now are Frodo and Sam. They're the only two that are prepared for the final stage of the quest. That's where we are.
After all of that, I need a treat.
Dude, me too.
Yeah.
What do we got? We got a treat today?
Something exciting.
Oh, I can't wait.
Is it methamphetamines?
Bethamphetamines?
Methamphetamines?
Yeah, it's the opposite of a Debbie Downer.
Oh my God.
Whoa, what do we got here?
These are bringing us back to Frodo's vision. These are Eye of Sauron cupcakes.
Ooh.
Dude,
They're just Eye of Sauron, but in a cute and totally adorable miniature version.
I love them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
These remind me of the Eye of Sauron, but I feel like that's cheating because I've only seen it from the movies.
I mean, yeah, that's
But-
where I got it from.
This is like exactly it.
Thank you.
Yeah, was it piping? Like whoever did the frosting was really good.
Yeah, it was piped, and then I used a toothpick to kind of like spread it all out. Cake decorating is my thing.
So
Yeah.
this is a yellow cupcake with
No,
yellow.
it's a white cupcake.
Okay, it's a white cupcake with yellow frosting on
Yep.
top, and then you did like a cat's pupil, like black iris in the middle, and then coming off of that is a riot of reds and oranges like fire. You know, you ever get seafood where it still has the eyes? Like shrimp? Like that's
A
I don't know.
branzino?
Yeah, I don't know why, but there it is.
I really do not like that my cupcakes remind you of shrimp.
Eyeball shrimp.
What's
So the eyeballs of dead sea bugs.
The funny thing about these cupcakes is that one of them has an M80 in it.
Oh my God.
And it will blow up when you eat it.
Oh, Chris, you just talked us into cupcake roulette.
Oh, yeah.
When you do like 3 of the cupcakes have like frosting inside,
Yeah.
and then one of them has mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, that'd be so bad.
No, thank you. No, thank you. All right. I guess we're just taking one.
Yeah, are we ready to eat an eyeball?
Yeah, especially after that.
Boy,
These look very good. I'll hold one up. Everybody hold yours up for the camera.
Wait.
sea bugs.
It's like Mad Eye Mooney, but like if he had pink eye in his shitty eye.
Oh my God.
It was a cat.
And he was like,
Chris, you look like you should be in an eye drop commercial.
clear eyes. All right, let's dig in.
Digging in.
I think I'm getting frosting all over my microphone. Sorry,
Better
Chris.
than microphone all over your frosting.
Is it?
Oh, actually, I think I said the
She's
same
a
thing.
versatile person. She could do both.
This is really good. Oh, there's jelly in it.
Oh, you get the jelly one?
What's the jelly?
It's for the blood.
She's like, it is blood.
These are really good.
I actually just cut myself really bad.
They're very light and sweet.
Yeah, this is nice. This is really refreshing.
So, Chris, you don't have the mayonnaise one.
The question is, whose blood is playing the blood?
That's raspberry preserve, and it's meant to be the blood of Sauron.
Yeah, but
The
also
blood of Christ.
Blood of Christ. Blood of Frodo? Sam?
Oh no.
I mean, if the priests are allowed to grab a bottle of wine and say, this is the blood of Christ, why can't I?
I guess only one of them got it. I did make 12 cupcakes and randomly chose
Well,
the
if
ones
Mary
that got
and
used.
Sam and Frodo have been taken,
Uh-oh.
that leaves Pippin for you.
Fuck.
Baby.
Just a baby.
I don't want to go to Mordor. I changed my mind. I was gonna.
My throat is closing like a cement jar.
And yours was the only one with jelly. Yours was the moistest.
My veins just dried up with dust. It sucked all the moisture out of my toes just to get that puffed out.
I'm just imagining this is the Great British Bake Off. How embarrassing! The jaw just like dying.
He just breathes in half your cupcake and coughs to death.
These cupcakes are really good, Laura.
Fuck you.
I should make these. Make them at home. Tell them how they are.
Make sure to look for the recipe.
I'm just watching Chris choke to death.
I laughed so hard I cried.
I can't stop eating it, and I'm like coughing and dying, but I still want to eat it, more of it now, though.
I can't tell if that's a good review or a bad review of the cupcake.
It's tasty but dangerous.
So dry. I want to eat the whole thing.
That's how I live my life. Yeah, tasty is dangerous.
Is that so, Laura?
It would be a good like tea time cupcake because you have some tea to wash it down.
Well, let's go with wine instead.
I think that was a perfect finale to season 1. I don't know about you guys. I had a blast tonight.
Especially when you choked on the cupcake.
I know. I thought my life was going to blast before my eyes while eating this thing, but I survived, as I do. I can't believe it's been 22 weeks of this. This is, well, technically 23. Because our very first episode, we fucked up the recording. We had to redo it. So that first episode is actually our second episode.
Yeah.
Technically. But we redid it and we got it a lot better. Actually, I'm pretty sure all of us drove home from that first recording and thought to ourselves, a podcast was a mistake.
Yeah. I was like, maybe we
let this get ahead of itself.
Yeah. We really dove into this. Yeah. I don't know that this is
we were
something
not
we should continue.
I was calling people and I was like, things got out of hand fast.
Please don't watch this.
I don't know why I started a podcast. I built a whole studio. I hated every second of it. So it was so funny.
I wish there was like a way, like there's no way to even look at the footage, but I wish there was because we were so awkward. It was like we were doing a skit. Like no one knew when to talk.
It was great. I loved it. It's a good core memory, almost as good of a memory as telling every one of you the next day we have to redo all of it.
I was so thankful.
People were relieved.
Good. Yeah.
It's fine.
The fact that the footage was unusable and that no one was ever going to see that.
Yeah.
Very
Sleep
important
at
to me.
But that's what we do what we have to do, you know?
Yep.
That's what Fool of a Took is about. We do what we have to do finish things. I need to finish this fucking book and I enlisted my friends and now we have a podcast, you know?
I thought you were going to say cupcake.
We got to finish cupcakes, Chris. I'll race you.
Okay.
God.
Wow. So for listeners, Pat just palmed an entire cupcake into his mouth.
And then just drank his wine like
And now
it's
he's washing it down
Coca-Cola.
with
Red
wine. Which
But he's drinking it like it's a glass of water.
can't be good. Wow.
Done.
Well, not really. There's like half a cupcake still on your face.
Nope.
No?
If it made it, it made it.
So if you're with us now,
Oh, that's
still,
a shitload of frosting.
dude, it's all over your lips. It's disgusting.
All I thought of was Sauron because it's Sauron's eye. Of course, Sauron. Sauron all over his lips is such an ass kisser to the darkness.
I get it.
But it's
now.
an
That's
eyeball?
why Saruman was so upset when Gandalf saw him because he was like, "What's up?" He was wiping Sauron off him.
Oh, God. I hate that my mind's like this.
Wait. What's Saruman's full name?
The white.
Classic.
Oh, God.
Anyway, if
for
you're
the-
still with us at this point, you guys are truly the heroes here. This is a long. I mean, these are over an hour, the last couple of them, and this one's definitely going to be over an hour, being the last one of season 1. But more importantly, if you're here, we have something to tell you. We have a couple things to tell you. One,
I changed my shoes.
One, over the quick break to get these cupcakes, Pat had some feet issues, and we had to change shoes.
Okay, say it like that.
2. Okay. He had really bad problems with his feet. His toes came off.
Blood everywhere.
It was really bad. Had nothing to do with just wanting to put on more comfy shoes.
Chris doesn't know what HIPAA laws are.
Yeah. 2, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break, and we're going to come in strong for season 2 in a couple weeks, which will be us reading The Two Towers. And if you want to be on the same page as us over that break time, 1, pick up The Two Towers so you can read along with us, and 2, maybe watch The Fellowship of the Ring.
And there is an important note about that. So if you want to watch the film, you actually have to read chapter 1 of book 3.
Because it contains, like, kind of spoilers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've combined all of Fellowship with chapter 1 of Two Towers for the movie.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I guess so. There's like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
There it is. If you're going to watch the movie, The Fellowship of the Ring,
Which you should.
which I think you should. You know, this has been a big journey, and they're starting to get a couple hundred of you that are tuning in every week to watch this and listen. So there's a couple of you that are doing this with us. If you want to watch the movie, you got to read chapter 1 of The Two Towers first. Otherwise, it's going to spoil some things when you read The Two Towers. That being said, I think this is the final toast of season 1. Cheers to my amazing co-hosts.
Pink.
Cheers to our amazing fans and audience. We're so thankful for you. You've brought a lot of joy to our life, and we hope that we are bringing joy to your life. Once again, I am Christopher.
I'm Laura.
I'm Robbie Jean.
I'm Pat.
Now stay tuned for Full of It Took Season 2, The Two Towers, which kicks off with Chapter 1 called
The Departure of Boromir.
The Departure of Boromir?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that dude. Thank God.
That's a